create something that establishes you as kind of a source of that feeling of some sort of sense of satisfaction based on the content that you're reviewing. This could be for a variety of reasons that I'll talk about later on. So the difference between online video and other video formats, well, a lot of them are pretty obvious. Low cost of entry, it's available to many more people. All of you could make your own web series and establish yourself as an authority on some subject somewhere. It's not something that you have to have millions of dollars in a production company behind you. Limited space and broadcast time. You're not gonna, need to find a slot on CBS or whatever. No social barriers to entry, which is maybe a little bit old-fashioned, but you're not gonna be kept off there because you're not the right demographic or something like that. Fewer restrictions on audience sizes and access, since you basically have the entire world available to you at any time. If there is an audience for whatever you're talking about, you should be able to connect with them if you kind of know where to look. And private media consumption, I think that one's important because it kind of has shaped the way that people consume media. You watch a lot of things online by yourself rather than as a communal experience. So, when it was a communal experience, people had a lot of things where social pressure from the community around you informed what your opinions and biases and interests were. And now, your interests and biases and opinions shape the community that you associate with. You kind of notice that with people, going to conventions where they meet up with a lot of people with similar interests or similar fandoms, and they, associate with them more than they do with the people in their local area. So, what you're doing when you're making a YouTube series is you're attempting to establish authority. Authority is basically just getting people to pay attention to you over something. So, a couple of different types, categories of authority. De jure authority, that's Latin. It means authority based on law. So, Mrs. Jenkins has de jure authority. I have de jure authority because she told you to pay attention to me. De facto authority, authority based on fact. So basically, authority based on the fact that people want to give you authority. People are interested in it, you have some sort of compelling personality or a certain amount of knowledge on something, so you just naturally fall into kind of a leadership role or authoritative role. There's also content-based authority, that's authority based on accuracy, utility, quality of information. So if you're providing something that's actually useful, then you're an authority based on the content of whatever you're doing. And character-based authority, authority based on personality, aesthetics, etc. So basically, if you're an entertaining or compelling person in some way, you have that type of authority. So I have authority because she told you to listen to me, and I have de facto authority, kind of, if you're paying attention to me. It's hard to tell if you are. So, you can have a successful YouTube channel in all sorts of situations, things that would have prevented you from falling into an authoritative position, like if you were stupid or unattractive or you smell bad or various other things that would have been a problem. That's not going to be a barrier to entry to having a successful YouTube video channel. But it will be difficult to have a successful channel if you're boring. So how to not be boring, use a lot of common strategies. Humor is probably the first one. Well, okay, why don't I do this? Does anyone have any ideas of the strategies that you think people use to not be boring in their videos? Yes? Humor? Thank you. All right. Why don't I just give them to you? So humor, significance, novelty, nostalgia, utility. I believe that's all of them. Oh, okay. I'll explain that. So humor, making people laugh, that's a really good way to cause a response to people in a Flappy video. So when you laugh, you feel like you're bonding with people socially, you're getting a little bit of a hit of dopamine, it activates your reward centers, it makes you want to get more of that. You're probably familiar with that, that sort of thing. Significance, basically value phenomena like the Comey video, people really connected with that because they made it seem like it was important. This is an important thing you have to pay attention to. A lot of things when people talk about their personal causes or their opinions and things like that, they get authority because they make it seem important. A lot of people probably employ that strategy in real life. Like if you're trying to get your parents to let you do something or give you something, or you're trying to let your teacher let you off of some assignment that you weren't able to get done in time, you're going to make a supplication to them and try to make it like, I'm really sorry, it's an important important situation, it's a special circumstance, my grandmother died and that sort of thing, you're going to give that kind of presentation because sometimes it gives you a better chance of getting through. Novelty, I imagine that'll be things like the Harlem Shake, that sort of thing, where it has authority kind of because people are doing it, it's a new thing that's kind of popping up and people are getting used to it. This doesn't have a lot of staying power, which it disappears after a while. Nostalgia, that's for things like a lot of fandoms, so people who give people authority because they're talking about something they care about, like Ninja Turtles or G.I. Joe or things from the 80s, whatever. Utility, that's a pretty obvious one. If you're telling someone how to fold a bed sheet, you're an authority on how to fold a bed sheet. You're giving people practical instructions on how to do a thing. Some of these are probably more useful for your particular project than others. I imagine significance will be tricky. So the ones that are common but kind of off limits to you because you're high school students. Sex appeal, it's a really common one. Vulgarity, shock value, provocation. So sex appeal, pretty self-explanatory. You can't really, there's like a YouTube channel that's pretty popular where a girl basically teaches you Japanese. She teaches you like one word in every video, and it gets a lot of views, mostly because she dresses in a provocative way. Well, I don't want to minimize her. She's teaching you Japanese words, but it's hard to argue that that is the sole reason why your channel is so popular. Vulgarity, I don't think that's really going to give you much of an advantage in terms of getting a lot of viewers, drawing attention, because it's it's commonplace, no one's really impressed by it. So it's really more of a character choice, and it's not one that you're allowed to make here. Shock value, basically shirking any sort of taboo or deliberately doing something that will get a reaction from people that will surprise them. You're probably going to avoid that. And provocation, kind of like you're familiar with the act of trolling, basically doing something specifically to get a rise out of people to offend them. Or if you're attacking someone directly, like someone else made a YouTube video, you make a YouTube video saying you're an idiot, then you're obviously giving yourself a little bit of authority because you're aligning yourself opposed to someone who already has it. So qualities of an online video series. They're online, they're in a series. I'll explain why that's significant. So online, again, their attention is probably divided, they've got no obligation to stay. Long video is usually unnecessary. You don't really get much of a benefit from having a 10-minute video or a 20-minute video versus having a 2-minute video. You can still put ads on a 2-minute video. You can still earn revenue from it, and you can still say something useful in a 2-minute video. And it's connected to everything else you make. So you have the option to link it to your social media and your website and your other videos and kind of keep people trapped in your little content domain and keep them just going from one thing to another as long as you're keeping them engaged. And being in a series leads viewers from one video to the next if there's some sort of a common thread or common theming around your videos. Establishes a rapport because you can, again, lead them from one video to another and they get to know kind of what your format is about. Reinforces positive associations. So basically just keeping a schedule does a lot of that. So if you have something updating every weekday, people come to expect that, and when they expect that they're going to get something from you and you keep on delivering on that promise, then they naturally develop kind of a positive association with your content. They look for something and it happens to be there every time. You want to post frequently, you want to keep a consistent schedule, you want to keep more or less consistent format. The consistent format thing might be, I think that's something that you're probably going to be focusing on, because if you're trying to post frequently, it helps to have something where you have a lot of common elements throughout all of your videos. So I'm going to talk about a couple of them, but like the title card that you saw that said SciShow, the branding, the graphics, the pop-up, those, if they are common to all of your videos, if you have a common graphics arsenal that you're using, then you really speed up the way that you're making your videos. If you put them in kind of a framework, you can just plunk those things in and all of a sudden you've got something that looks like the rest of it. It looks like it fits together.